All right, what's going on today, chat? What up, what up, what up? How's it going on this Thanksgiving Eve? Hopefully you guys are big chillin'. Got some big, some Pokemon news that I saw come across my news feed, so I figured I'd start with that first, including the first time I heard about PSA making offers on our cards, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard that be announced, but it was my first time hearing about it today, so I figured might as well talk about it. So welcome in, guys. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Galaxia Gaming, and Wednesdays we do what's called Grade Review, which we'll get to in a second, where I review cards for free from members of the community and assess what I think the card would get as a PSA grade, as well as chat will weigh in as well. But that's normally what we do on Wednesdays. Soccer, thanks so much for liking the live. Appreciate you guys. And so while we're waiting for people to get in before we start the episode 44 of Grade Review, Soccer, thanks so much for following. I appreciate that very much. Let's get into the Pokemon news. So the first thing that I think is interesting is that 151 is getting rewaved. So this should be coming out in February. So it looks like released on February 7th for $59.99. So it's called Blooming Waters. So for those of you who are hearing about people holding on to 151 or whatever, it's definitely being reprinted. So it's confirmed. It's going to be printed in February. So it looks like it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like 12 packs with a Venusaur and Blastoise EX. So that's always good news for being reprinted. The new Terra, the Terra evolutions are starting to get released. So we have the Eevee, we have the Umbreon, which I actually was hearing at the show that I was at last. People are coining this the Sunbreon instead of the Moonbreon. So we got the Moonbreon from Evolving Skies, and now the Sunbreon is what I've been hearing. So kind of a funny change of names there. Betty, what's going on? Next we have the Sylveon, looking nice. Sylveon and Glaceon, they almost look like Terra cards, which I think is interesting. And that's just kind of more of them kind of spread out there. But I think we have some better images here, yeah. So we have the Vaporeon a little bit more zoomed in. And then the Sylveon is the best one. I honestly really like this one too, to be honest. I think my favorite after I was looking at them, I think was the Leafeon. I think was my favorite, even though Jolteon's my favorite evolution and favorite Pokemon, to be honest. I really liked the Leafeon. That's what I'm saying, B. They look so nice. So we got some more full art stuff, which surprisingly, when I was redoing some of the pricing of my cards for the show, a lot of the full arts are kind of going down a little bit. So interesting to see more of the uniformed full art trainers. I do too, Soccer. And then what else? Black Bolt and White Flare sets now confirmed to release in June, hinting at a Black and White game remake. That'd be interesting. Let's see. Oh yeah, because that announcement of Legends ZA is on the horizon, right? Because the trainer at the end of XY, his name is Az, so AZ. So it's interesting that it's backwards for ZA. So that'll be really interesting to see there. But who knows? Sounds good, Raw. I appreciate that. And then I think that's it for the news. And then the next part, which I wanted to go over, was the PSA offers that I think it must have been going on for a little bit now. But again, it was my first time actually hearing about it. So in a nutshell, when I was kind of going over everything, it looks like if you decide to keep your cards in the PSA vault, they'll actually offer you a payout from PSA, which I think is interesting. So how offers are priced? Offers are calculated in various ways. So it looks like they use Card Ladder, which is one of their, they purchased kind of this price lookup tool. But you get to choose whether or not you accept it, which I think is interesting. So if you're trying to liquidate a lot of stuff, that might be a good option. What's my take on GameStop grading? I think it's really good if you just want to grade one or, a few cards, because PSA's specials really require, like, most of them require a 10 or 20 card minimum. Most are 20 if you want the cheaper end. So the fact that you can submit, 1 or 2 at a time, or 8 or whatever, I actually think is really good, to be honest. What's my favorite Pokemon? I'd say my favorite Pokemon is Jolteon, but if I had to pick an actual, like, non-evolution, would probably be Victory Bell. Will they make them Tems on purpose so they're worth more? That's interesting. Maybe. Who knows? I mean, it's definitely a thought, right? What's going on, Keith? Especially with the Beckett CEO just got fined or arrested for money laundering or something like that, which I thought was interesting. So who knows? There's a lot. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the grading space here in the next few quarters. But so then where sold cards go for the dealers, breakers, and local card shops within the PSA partner network. Interesting. So if you join the partner network, you can buy directly from PSA. I don't know how that would work, but I know they've been doing a lot of eBay. I've been seeing on eBay that they actually have a store now. Oh, I don't say now. I think they've had one for a while, but it seems like it's more streamlined to where they're really starting to kind of get into that middleman. Yeah, Raw, who knows? Hey, Beanos, how's it going? Happy Turkey Day, man. Happy Turkey Day Eve. So whether you're kind of starting early or not, or lower so they can buy them and then resubmit them. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard, right? Because who's kind of watching the watcher, right? Because those are all very fair points. Who knows? I kind of think that they should probably kind of stick with, like, I like how they have the storage option, but it's kind of weird to just also, like, start buying stuff and, like, selling stuff through partners, especially like the PSA partner program. I think that's kind of sketchy, but I don't know. Who knows? What's my take on ETBs? I think they're fun. I think there's kind of like, I kind of like more of the battle decks or whatever. I don't know what they're called, but they come with, like, the 6-packs. I wish that there were some that just came in 10 without all the added stuff. Like, I don't need dice. I have so much dice. I have so many energy cards. Like, I don't need all the extra stuff. So, is eBay offered grade service? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, who knows? Everyone's kind of getting into it. But yeah, I just figured I'd talk about that. I thought that was really interesting. So now we are getting into the grading portion of the night, which is grade review. So let me get these prepared. So again, if this is your first time here, oh, we have another Betty. Interesting. A doppelganger. Okay. So for those of you who are watching this for the first time, this is what we call grade review. So this is the 44th episode of grade review, where we review community members' cards absolutely for free. And both myself and chat, depending on if we hit a certain viewer threshold, will weigh in on what we both think your cards would get as a PSA grade. So the first thing I like to show off is some of the tools that I'll be using tonight. Yes, 2 Bettys. A GameStop PSA submission, shipping for 10 days. Well, good luck to you, Corey. I know it's kind of hard once you have a submission. You constantly keep looking. Trust me, I have one right now that's still in grading, and I keep looking at it. So the 2 tools that I'm going to be using tonight. First is this magnifier. So it kind of helps me zoom in on portions of the card to kind of help you guys see and kind of talk about a little bit more in depth on what I'm looking at. Next is a pen tool, so I can kind of write and draw and do all sorts of fun, crazy stuff. Like, hey, here's a scratch here, or hey, here's a scratch here. So those are the two tools that I'm going to be using tonight. And without further ado, I'm going to review this Zard. I'll answer that question in a second, Soccer, once I'm done with this Zard. So first up is D-Niche. So Dinicho, I believe. So we are looking at the Charizard GX. So with every grade review, there are 4 main grading criteria that we always have to consider, which is centering, corners, edges, and surface. So those are the big ones that we're going to be looking at for most cards that are in kind of like the modern category, which this one is most kind of like leaning in that direction. We're really trying to look at centering and corners because those are the main issues that kind of pop up with cards like these. So let's take a look. So with this Zard in particular, take the tool here. So that top edge so far looks good. The centering also looks really good. And just from this picture, it looks pretty well centered. So when I talk about centering, the main things that we're looking at is from the edge out. And that was from last week. So let me just reset that real quick. So we're looking right here primarily. So when we look at centering, we want these to be, 50-50 ratio, right? So this right here and this right here, right? We want those to be as close to 50-50 as possible, meaning that, if it's a 1/2 inch on the left, it needs to be a 1/2 inch on the right. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. If that's your first time kind of hearing about centering of a card, that's what we're really looking at. So from this card specifically, it's very well centered, which is great. So now if we flip it over, let's use the zoom tool here. So now we're really going to kind of look at some of the edges here. So normally, again, what I'm really kind of looking for in these corners is any little bit of whitening. So that bottom left looks really good. That bottom right looks good. And the top right looks really good. Now, in regards to centering, it does appear very slightly, but I think we're within the range technically by PSA standards is the back here. So this right side, what I was just talking about, that right side, just a little bit thicker than the left. But, and a big but, is that it might be due to the angle of the picture, as well as some other factors that are kind of making it possibly appear a little bit thicker. But I think we're good in that sense. So I think with this Zard specifically, the other thing I also want to note with these older like Sun and Moon GXs is kind of like this, almost like this little like path here. So right in between. So initially, and this is kind of what's nice about learning from past mistakes, or learning from past submissions rather, is just because that is a little bit like, not as centered on this side as it is on this side, because this one's kind of like super close to that edge, does not mean that it's not centered. So it's really just, again, the edges from the outside into the border. That's really where we're looking. So based on what I'm seeing from these pictures, those two are leading me to believe that you have a possible 10 contender on this Charizard GX for sure. So that's a really good submission attempt. If it were my card, I would definitely try to submit it for sure. And so to answer your question, Soccer, so if you guys want to be submitted into a future grade review, all you have to do is click or tap the link tree in my bio. There you will go here into my Linktree profile, and all you'll have to do is click or tap that Discord icon. It'll redirect you to the Discord, which will also guide you to the grade review channel. And then once you're there, you just submit your pictures, as many as you want. It's completely for free, but please make sure to read the pinned messages on rules and information on how to properly submit your cards for a grade review. It is first come, first serve. So if you really want your cards reviewed as early as next week, the Discord server does offer a priority grade review subscription starting at $4.99 a month. And that can be found in the server's subscription in the channel. Can 60/40s gets 10 still? Technically, based on PSA, yes, but I normally don't agree with that. Yeah, Steady, it went super well, man. I actually did a stream on Monday going over some of the pickups that I had and just kind of talking about it. I have a video hopefully coming out soon. I just have to have time to sit down and actually edit it. So Sparker, yeah, to get to your question, I normally think it's 55-45. Like PSA, yes, they say 60-40, but I've had so many cards, like legitimately, that have fallen into that 60-40 category with nothing wrong with it and still come back as 9s. So kind of take with what you will with that. That's just my personal experience. So normally if I think it's above, like especially on the front, if it's more than a 55-45, I tend not to submit it because of that reason. So again, and everything, again, if this is your first time here, all of what I talk about is just purely based off past experiences and past kind of, I do self reviews as well, meaning if I think a card's going to get a, you know, a 7, I submit it to PSA and it does come back a 7, I kind of keep track of that. So, all right, next up we have Leon, which has 5 submissions today, which is the maximum in case you were wondering. So again, you can submit as many cards as you want for review, but we only review 5 cards per person per stream. So Leon has 5. So we're going to start off with the Cricketune from Crown Zenith. So again, modern, we're really looking for centering and corners on this one. So the centering on this Cricketune looks pretty good and the corners look great. And the only thing that I see on here that I think can be easily removed with just wiping off with a microfiber is this little bit of white speck here. So just simply wiping that off and that off with a microfiber cloth to kind of just get those off will do you wonders here. So I'm just going to circle those. So right here and right there, those are the 2 that I see the most that could just be wiped off. So I think with that, there's really there's no whitening on the corners from what I can tell. And then for stream purposes, so this side right here, that kind of looks more illuminated on this left side. That's just because of the light. But that's about it. Young Pickle, thanks for the roses. I appreciate that. And we just hit 1.5K likes. I appreciate all the likes, shares, and follows for tonight's stream. It really does help me kind of share what I like to do, which is try to help out the community as much as I can. So it's very much appreciated. So yeah, I'd say that Cricketune does have a good shot at being a PSA 10, as long as you get rid of those little bits of white is the only thing, Leon. All right, next up we have Archelodon. If I can load it here, there we go. I'm gonna kind of preload some other ones here from their submission. Got a lot of full arts here, which it looks like. Got some V's. Got some Illustrator rares. Got all sorts of stuff. All right. So let's take a look at this one. Make sure that you guys can actually see it on stream. There you go. Perfect. All right. So this guy, the centering looks pretty good. Corners are good. So far, so good. And then as for this card, it also looks very well centered. The main focus that I was looking at was probably in this section here. You might want to just check. I don't know if it's just because of the lighting or what, but that does look to be whitened. But I think just because how the angle of the picture is kind of like looking in this direction, kind of shows that kind of middle layer would be my guess. So just check that. But otherwise, this card is definitely a 10 contender if that is not there. Always, Con. Always. The queue is closed tonight. I just want to make sure that everyone is aware. But the faster you submit your cards, the faster it will be in a future grade review. I stream every Wednesday, starting at 7:00 p.m. Eastern. So the faster you get your submissions in, the faster you will have your review. So the Larvesta. So it looks like this right side is a bit thicker than the left. So that's kind of what I'm talking about with that 50-50 ratio for those of you who are kind of new here and first time hearing about ratios and centering and all that stuff. It does not look like it's 50-50. So if I just... All right, we're just going to do that. But that's really the only thing that I see there. So I'd probably say that this Larvesta probably won't get the 10 because of that centering, because you can clearly see that on this right side is much thicker than the left. So I think if a grader can see that, probably will. So I probably wouldn't submit that if you're trying to go for the 10. But that's my guess. Just the lighting, I tried my best at taking the photos without the shine, reflecting so much. No, I mean, they're good photos for sure. Just sent my cards for the first time to PSA. Is it possible to get a 10 if you have a speck of white? It is possible, but it's not, it basically decreases your odds. Because I've seen some whitening of, I remember we looked at a Mew very vividly. I remember this. We looked at a View. There was some very obvious whitening on the bottom right edge on the back. We all, both chat and myself, both thought it was going to get an 8 and it came back as a 10. So it's possible, but normally for me, if there's like little bits of whitening on the corners, you know, there are cards that do not have that, which again warrants that card getting the 10. So in most cases, you're starting to distance yourself away from the possibility of a 10. Tony, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Okay. Entei V from Brilliant Stars. Centering looks good. Not too much to focus on there. And the back, again, I'm really just looking at the centering in the corners for the modern stuff. And this card looks good. It looks pretty well centered. All 4 corners look great. You know, and again, when I'm looking at corners, I'm primarily looking here, right? So here, 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 and here. So why highlight those areas specifically? Normally, that's where kind of that whitening is going to be most predominant, which I was just kind of explaining. But bottom right, yeah, no, I'm thinking that this, because there's a little bit of like some lighting going on, and I kind of mentioned that in the I forgot what it was. It was the, oh man, you're gonna have me remember what the name of it was. The Archaludon had something very similar, but I think it's because of the lighting, to be honest. But that's definitely a good eye though, for sure, Nav. All right, so, and thank you for the follow, by the way. Appreciate that. All right, and last is the Vivillon. Vivillon? Man, some of these, legit, some of these are like the first time I've ever pronounced some of these names. So I'm sure I'm absolutely butchering them. Is it possible to get a dent perfectly out of a card? I mean, it's probably possible, but I don't really... Vivillon. Oh, is it a Spanish butterfly? Like a llama? But Mr. Prez, thanks so much for the follow. I'm very reluctant to say perfectly. Like, depending on how you do it and whatnot, there might be a chance to get it out, but some are just pesky, man. The card stock of Pokemon cards is very finicky. Okay, so centering on this is really good. Corners look good, and let's hope that the back is as good. Looks to be a little bit thicker on this right side again, when compared to the left. But according to PSA, you know, the back is actually a little bit more tolerant, which is like 70-30. But I don't know how this one would fare, to be honest. Additionally, we are seeing, because I think because of the angle, I'm a little bit more confident in saying this, is that we do have a little bit of some kind of like corner whitening here, which sometimes happens with modern cards. But I don't know for sure. So I definitely check that out in person if that is there, or if it's just the angle of the card in which it was taken. Do fingerprints on a card really affect the grades? Yes, it does. It affects the surface subgrade. That's why it's always good practice to try to wipe them off with like a microfiber before you put them in the sleeve. Just the angle? Okay. Then I would say I would measure this right side. So I'd measure this right side, compare it to the left. And, you know, if it's like, I'm just using this as an exaggeration. So if the right side is like 1/4 of an inch and the left side is like 3/4 of an inch, right? That's 75 to 25 ratio, which in this case would not get you the 10. So just make sure that it's within 70-30 or better to submit, would be my guess. Nah, you're good, Young Pickle. VBN, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. What is the link to the Discord? The link is in the bio, my friend. It'll give you to the link tree. And then all you have to do is click or tap that Discord icon right there on the top above where it says links and shop. It'll be right there for you. So thank you for that submission for tonight. Next up, we have N with a pretty big chase, the Charizard EX on the well-knitted blanket. It looks like we just hit 2K likes, so I appreciate that very much, guys. And let's continue on with the Charizard EX. The cross-stitching is perfection. But enough about the fabric. We are on the Charizard EX. So let's see. So again, we're really looking for centering on this one. It does appear to be a little bit thicker on the bottom than it does on the top. So we do have that going against us a little bit. And if we flip it over, it's a little... And I'm trying to think. So normally what happens if it's a little bit thicker on the left side, because when I saw it thicker on the right side here, normally when you flip it over, it'll be that on the left as well. And it does appear that it is a little bit thicker on the left as well. So it looks like it's left and bottom heavy when compared to the top and right respectively. And you kind of see that translate over to the back of the card as well. Additionally, we do have a little bit, it's actually kind of nice, weirdly enough, that we have that blue in between the crochet here, weirdly enough. So we do have a little bit of whitening there, what appears to be whitening at least, as well as here on that card. So we have what appears to be 2 points of whitening, and I'll kind of circle those real quick just to kind of help illustrate what I'm talking about. So we have one here in that top right corner, and then we have one here in that top left corner. So I'd say with the centering issues, as well as those potential white specks on the top left and top right, I don't think this would get the 10, probably the 9. But I don't think it would get the 10, in my opinion. And up next is G Kel with the Bubble Mew. We got some like really good modern bangers for tonight for sure, which is always good. The Mew EX is becoming very popular. It was a little bit for Paldean Fates, but it's definitely starting to see an increase in price. I just pulled that Charizard EX today. That's awesome, Plague. Congratulations. That's sick. And I think we have another picture as well. But that one, I think, was in the sleeve. Yeah, it was, I think. Gio, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. All right, so again, we're really trying to look for centering here. What side is the Bubble Mew from? That is from Paldean Fates, my friend. Is from Paldean Fates. The other chases on Paldean Fates is the Gardevoir EX and the Charizard EX. But the Mew EX is standing out a little bit as the top dog of the set. But beautiful card nonetheless. Okay. There you go, Socks. Well, good luck. If you're gonna try to rip open packs, I wish you the best of luck. So this one was, so I'm omitting that, but this is actually on top of the top loader. It took me a little bit to see, but they updated it so that it is in fact above. It's just sitting on top of the top loader. Because otherwise we would see a lot more shine to it. We wouldn't be seeing this kind of rainbowed foil. All right, so it looks well centered from what I can tell. Maybe a little bit thicker on the bottom, but probably measure that out. And then in regards to, it's all good, Cody. Hey, I appreciate you paying attention to the rules, to be honest. So I definitely appreciate that. The only thing that I see here, chat, let me just kind of zoom in a little bit so I can kind of highlight this, is this right here. So that little white dot there on the left, So this is a good kind of talking point. So I'm hoping, based on its position, that you can just simply wipe that off with a microfiber cloth or something like that, because that would definitely impact that edge score. So if we can get rid of that, great. Then I think you have a pretty good shot at a 10. But if you can't, then that obviously is going to distance yourself away from the 10. In addition to maybe, let's see. My Bubble View just got graded at PSA, coming back a 10. That's awesome, Sherry. Congratulations. That's sick. Acidic, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Can you do anything to fix the whitening on the card? Unless you can't wipe it off, there's really not much you can do. Because you can't fill it in, right? Because otherwise that's just considered alteration. How do you see these things? Well, Angel, one thing that you have to kind of keep in mind too is I'm viewing this on a computer, and you guys are viewing this on a phone, right? So I have a little bit more tools at my disposal and a little bit more clarity on my end. Sounds good, Soccer. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a good night, good Thanksgiving, all that fun stuff if you celebrate it. But yeah, I think this card, I think you have the good shot out of 10. Hopefully you can get rid of this little white dot there on that left side to kind of improve your chances. But wish you the best of luck there. All right, next up is Xavier. Let me just mark those. We did Leon. And now, ooh, we got the Charizard. We got a nice little spicy Zard. So this one, guys, I might need your help on with getting a chat grade for sure. Because this one's a pretty big one. Got a lot of pictures here of the same card. So let's look at it. Question, is there any way to get rid of a crease in a foil card? There are some techniques that you could use. They are pretty, like, sometimes you can, you know, get rid of some, sometimes you can't. It really just depends. But do I have a personal collection of Pokemon? I do. One of these days, when I have my 10K follower kind of special stream, when things start to calm down from the show that I just went to, I'll definitely be doing a special stream going over my personal collection. Oh no, Sherry, that's awful. All right, so let's go over this Zard. So let's start off. I want to start off more with like a front shot. There we go. Let's start off with this one first. Okay, so this Crystal Guardians Zard. So the centering looks pretty good. The only thing that I see, but I think it's part of the hollow, is this kind of line going across, but I think that's where the hollow is. But I'm sure when we look at other angles, we'll see one, whether or not that's true or not. But quarters look good. There's a little bit of like weird camera issues on this top part, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. So again, I think this line is more of the hollow, because I'm not seeing an impact on this angle. We do have some dirt on the text of the card, which again, I think we could probably get rid of. Your boy, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. We could probably get rid of some of that dirt, which is again, some distilled water, a Q-tip, or a microfiber. Let's see if we can check out some other stuff. All right, so it looks like here as well, and I'll have to kind of look at it with some other pictures, but it looks like there's some scratches here on the wing as well as the belly. But I'm sure as we kind of look at different angles here, you can kind of see some other scratches too on this edge, because this whole card is essentially foiled, right? So on this left edge, we see a lot of scratches near those energies. So yeah, so here are some of those scratches that are kind of coming up, like I was talking about before. We definitely see some on the belly there as well as the wing. So kind of going across. And again, I'm not really seeing any as like a major crease here. That's just, I think, a part of the foiling on the sheet, kind of going down the middle there. And then really nothing there at all. So on the back, we start to see some more significant whitening, right? So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So all 4 edges and all 4 corners have pretty significant whitening. So we see some here, and I'll kind of highlight them as I go, just to kind of help highlight what I'm talking about. So we have some in that section, all right here, here, got some there, got some in that section, have a little bit there, boom, boom. This card's gonna get marked up pretty good right here and here. So that is all whitening where I have circled on that card. And so if I kind of turn this off and kind of zoom in just a little bit on some of those whitening that I was talking about on that top edge, a little bit on that corner. So as I kind of go across, have some there. So really just whitening all on the outside of this card. So not great, but could be worse, I guess. So now looks like we have enough people in here. So this was going to be the first one of the night. So if you guys want to vote on what you think this Charizard Delta Species Reverse Holo from Crystal Guardians would get, now is your chance to do so. So if you want your vote to count, type in !grade followed by the number you think this card would get as a PSA grade. Again, type in !grade followed by the number on what you think this Zard Delta Species would get. And how it works is the winning vote, both on YouTube and TikTok, wherever you're watching me tonight, will be added, and the winning vote will be the chat grade. So again, !grade followed by the number on what you think this Delta Zard would get. So here is the front. There's one shot, there's another one. I think the biggest one on the front is probably this one. We see some scratches on the wing, the belly, a little bit of dirt on the text, but it's really just the back that had some of the more issues on these edges. So as you guys are voting, again, it's !grade followed by the number. I'm going to catch up with chat. How much does it cost for you to rate viewers' cards? Absolutely free, Sucks. Absolutely free. Question, if you have a perfect card, but it has one tiny chip on the edge, will it still get a 10? Most likely not. I mean, I have seen some that have whitening that still do get the 10, so it's not a guaranteed 10, but you're definitely just distancing yourself for sure. Notorious print line set. Yeah, that's what it looked like, Raw, for sure. Yeah, I wish I could rate it for a 10. I wish I could rate all your cards as 10s and they actually come back as 10s. As a cloth you would use for cleaning glasses microfiber? Yes, that's exactly what I actually use, Angel. I've sent a nice chase. Will that be reviewed next time? Maybe, Fyro. I'm honestly not too sure. There are some people most likely ahead of you. My base Zard was in better condition, got a 6. Oh, man. Do AI apps work well to give an idea for grading? I've actually seen a few people use them to kind of help measure centering. And it's pretty interesting for sure. It's pretty interesting how more AI services are being introduced into grading. I definitely think they serve a purpose, but I think, the human element and AI should kind of combine. There shouldn't be one or the other, in my opinion. But because my hope would be that PSA uses more AI at the end because everyone's tired of getting hairs in their case. It's like, hey, Mr. Grader, you left your eyelash in the case. All right, so and I see those questions on how to submit. Let me just end the poll here real quick. Just give me 1 second. I'll answer that in just a second because it is pretty close actually. All right. So, by a few votes, chat grade. Of course, my other ones come on there. So, chat grade, you guys are thinking, as a collective hive mind, you guys are thinking a PSA 6. So, chat is thinking 6. So let me put that over there. Save the drawing. Yes. Okay. So now that we have the chat grade, now it's time for me to vote. So what do I think this Charizard Delta species would get? So the big image that we saw the most of, and let me kind of go on this one, is all these scratches on the wings and the belly. The rest of it, we have this kind of print line, more so on the hollow sheet and less of an actual line like we're seeing on these wings. But with those scratches on the wings, in addition to some dirt and debris by the text here, right off the bat, we're already kind of out of that near mint territory, which means that we're out of that PSA 7 or above, in my opinion. So as we kind of see here, this is kind of that foil line that I'm kind of talking about, kind of going down the wing. So as we look in the back, we're really kind of looking at all four corners and all four edges in this example, right? We see a lot of whitening on these edges, these corners. So it really boils down to, you know, is this heavy play? And from what we can see from this picture here and here, we don't see any major creases or anything like that. We see no creases really. So we're kind of out of that heavy play area. So really where it kind of leaves us is, are we in the light play or mod play? Meaning for me, I like to kind of equate a light play as a PSA 6 and a mod play as a PSA 5. So we're kind of dancing in between a PSA 6 and a PSA 5 at the moment. So after kind of looking at this card, I think we're really kind of at the, you know, at the shallow end of light play, like really close to getting into a mod play. However, if there was more, I think, whitening or more issues with the front specifically, meaning if there was like way more scratches, again, we're only really can judge based off of the pictures that were submitted and at the angles that they were submitted. I would probably assess this card, you know, more in that light play range based off of some of these pictures that we're seeing. So I would think, based on my observation of these cards, I would probably lean more towards, you know, kind of that 6 to 5 again. Unless there's anything, if there's actually more wrong with this card in person, I would definitely say a 5. But based off what we're seeing in this submission, I probably would agree with chat that I would think that this card would also get the PSA 6. So chat, PSA 6, and myself is also a PSA 6. So let's see. Eric, thanks so much for the follow. And so how to submit your cards, if you are curious, all you have to do is go in my link in my bio. From there, you'll go into my link tree. Once you're here, you have to click or tap the Discord icon. It will redirect you to the Discord server. From there, you just simply submit your pictures in the grade review channel. You can submit as many as you want, absolutely for free, but it is limited to 5 per person per stream, and it is based off of a first come, first serve. So if you need your cards assessed as soon as possible for whatever reason, the server does offer priority grade review through a server subscription offered in the Discord. So if that interests you, you have that along with some other good perks to support the stream and reinvest kind of in the business to make these streams a little bit more professional and continuing to make them better and better. So let me just mark that as complete. Let me just catch up with you guys real quick. I see a lot of questions coming in. Let's see. With AI, for sure, non-biased opinion. Yeah, I mean, it just depends, right? It just depends on what it's calculating. I think really the big thing that AI could really do well at is detecting whether or not a card has already been graded. You know, I think one of the bigger issues of the hobby is people cracking and resubmitting their cards, which skews the data. So when people talk about pop reports and pop, you know, how many of those have been cracked and no longer exist? You know what I mean? Wondering what you think is valuable enough to send to get graded. Just pulled a Zard EX Gold. So I would always, so the big way that I answer that question is first, always assess your own cards. And determine what you think. That's why this grade review stream kind of exists, to kind of help you guys better assess your cards. Obviously, I'm assessing your cards through, you know, a computer screen. So when you're in person, you can kind of take some of these tips in person and assess your own cards. So for example, if you think your Zard is going to get an 8, then I'll give you an opportunity to look up comps for PSA 8 Charizard EXs to determine whether or not it's worth the cost to submit in terms of the shipping, in terms of the insurance. So that's kind of how you better calculate a better return on your investment. Pixel, thanks so much for the follow. JPP and user, thanks so much for the follow. Awesome, Plague. I appreciate that, man. Is there a queue to see when you review in the card? Yes, so I always post the queue each week, and the VOD always gets uploaded once stream is done, because I stream over on YouTube as well. Steady, on that note, what do you feel about Tag as a grading service? Obviously, I've heard about Tag, but I haven't really looked into it. Just to be transparent, I really look at stuff from like a return on my investment, so to speak. And so PSA, for me, offers the best return on my investment. So I just tend to stick with PSA. No worries, Gio. I never, you know, never feel bad for asking a question. You know, TikTok, I mean, it's your first time here, so you don't know. So normally I stream on Mondays and Wednesdays. Wednesdays is the most consistent one. I stream every Wednesday starting at 7:00 p.m. Eastern, and I normally do these grade review streams. And then Mondays I tend to stream like cleaning services, so I'll clean cards for people or clean my own cards for PSA submission. I just got done cleaning 2 first edition hollow Snorlaxes from Jungle on Monday, which was pretty sick. So I really think that to do pop control. Yeah, I mean, everyone has speculation, right? I mean, it's fair to have speculation, but I also think, like, you know, if people are going to crack cards, then I'm really talking about more of skewing the pop control. So when people say like, oh, it's a pop like 130 or whatever, it's like the more people that crack cards, the less significant like pop metrics matter, if that makes sense. How many cards do I have tonight? So the queue is closed for tonight. So normally I review anywhere from 15 to 20 cards per week. But all right, so next up, keep things moving on here. Next up we have Raku with the Latios from Surging Spark. Let's take a look. And this one's a tad bit blurry, but really, I was kind of on the fence of not allowing this through, but I think we can kind of see more or less what we're trying to look for. Again, with Modern, it's pretty self-explanatory. We're really looking for centering. And honestly, the bottom looks a little bit thicker than the top from this angle. So we have this spot on the bottom looking a bit thick compared to the top. We kind of look at that here. And as we flip it over, it also looks pretty well centered on the back. And I would obviously see some of these whitening corners, but I think because of the centering, I think that bottom is a little bit too thick for this to be the 10. So I probably wouldn't submit this if you're trying to look for the 10, just because that bottom is much thicker than the top, just from this picture. So I don't think that would get the 10, my friend. All right, next up is Prodigy with another big chase from Stellar Crown, which is a Terapagos EX, and they're wondering, will this get the 10? So let's take a look. What if PSA added like an ink capsule to the slab that would burst open to prevent regrades? Could you imagine like if you're stealing money from a bank or something? That'd be crazy. Could you imagine it just like explodes in the mail and it's like, oops, sorry. Center, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Thanks so much for the follows and the likes, guys. It really does mean a lot. Wants a review, but sends photos taken with a potato. Yeah. Bazinga, I don't know. That one, like I said, I was really on the fence of just kind of denying that altogether. But with Modern, I'm really just looking for the centering in the corner. So I was like, I'll just let it slide. But yeah, I've had to deny a lot of requests this week because some photos are like, people are like taking them almost like driving by in a car at like 60 miles an hour. But who knows? That's me, by the way. This one I'm looking at right now, the Terapagos. This Terapagos looks fine in terms of the picture. And the Latios was fine. I was able to see what I needed to see. Yeah, we're good. We're chilling. All right, so the Terapagos. Looks well centered. And I'm also assuming that you didn't throw down a flight of stairs. So I'm assuming the surface is good. And then as for the back, again, just for context, if this is your first time here, for anyone, first time here, when I'm looking at modern and on the back, these are the areas that I'm really looking at, is right here. So normally for modern, those four corners are the worst at having those little bits of whitening that kind of make or break the 10. And so from what I'm seeing here, it is a little bit off center on the right side and compared to the left, but I think you're within that range of it being acceptable from PSA standards. So I think you should be good, honestly. Very well centered on the front, which is the big part. So I think you're good here. I think this would, I would probably, if it were my card, I would probably submit this. If you're trying to look for a potential 10, I would submit this. You don't review slabs. Correct. Yeah, because the main reason I tried reviewing slabs, but there is way too many times where I'd say, hey, that scratch is on the card, and they say, no, that's on the slab, and it's like, okay, you know, I can't keep doing that. You know, it's very similar to, you know, I can't review a card that's in a top loader or a sleeve, right? I don't know if it's on the sleeve, the top loader, the slab. I don't know. How important is centering on the back? I mean, obviously you want to get as close to 50-50 ratio as you can, right, Eli? But I just need, yeah, anytime, Andre. Anytime. I'm glad you found it helpful. But yeah, so technically on PSA, it's 70-30, meaning, you know, 70 to 30 ratio on the back. But typically, you know, I kind of lean more being on the conservative side of submitting, because you're really, you know, you have to spend the money to grade, right? So normally if I think it's above the 60-40, I tend not to submit stuff, but that's about it. But yeah, no worries. All right, so next up, we have just finished Prodigy. I Am Penguin with the big Zard himself, the big boy. Let's take a look. Coolest card to stream in your opinion? I'd probably say the Zard for sure. The Delta species, I think, would probably be the biggest one. But, and then we have the Charizard EX. There's just Zards everywhere. But this one, I really hope. Yeah, the centering on the back is no bueno. The other thing too I see on this card too is that I don't know what that is. You have a little bit of something on that B there. So right where my mouse is, it almost looks like it might be a piece of fuzz or something like that. I'm not too sure. But you definitely have something there on that card. So the front, so if that can just be wiped off, that's great. The centering of this looks really good, but the back is really where it's definitely gonna keep you away from that 10 for sure. It's pretty much without question. The main reason, you know, you have some whitening on that top right corner, and it's very left heavy. And scratches on top left back, top right back. Yeah, I probably wouldn't submit this. You're probably not looking at the 10 for sure. Like, you're probably even looking at getting like to 9, even an 8, because that centering is pretty rough on that back, and whatever this is on the B. Hopefully you can just wipe that off, but honestly I'd probably lean more towards even an 8, just because of the whitening and the like how off center that is on the back. I mean, it's still near mint. Still near mint technically. I love how you say that without measuring. I mean, I don't really need to measure it. Like, yes, you can see how off center that is. I don't need to measure that. All right, next up is Lag with some OG stuff. with the pocket monsters. I always thought that these were really cool. So this was the kind of the set. It's kind of like those promo cards that you're trying to collect the entire set. So let's take a look. And that's that scratch that you're talking about too. Thinking A if you can get that off, but yeah. But yeah, I always like these OG the card ass. I just like calling the card das or the card ass. I like calling it the former. Yeah, I definitely agree. I always love, like, this card is so cool. So let's take a look. So really, you know, I think I've only assessed in one other card from this, specifically of this. And so really of course I use a green line on a green part of the card. So really we're kind of measuring this as the centering, and that looks well centered. So from this angle, it looks pretty decent. As we flip over on the back, you guys can probably see that there is a pretty big chip, what appears to be a chip at least, out of that top left corner, right here where the tip of my mouse is. Yeah, that's what I mean, truthfully, Plague, I've never, like, personally assessed, but I kind of just take, like, very loose, you know, kind of like loose guidelines, right? So you can kind of like see where the border is. So on the back here, you have, you know, you have right here on that left side and right. So that's technically the in my opinion, the border on the back. But really the big thing that we're seeing is just this here. But I think, yeah, and you're kind of focusing on it a little bit on this other picture. So again, right there, it's a little bit, might be tough to see on stream specifically, but a little bit of whiting there. And oof. So we actually didn't see it on this picture, but we have a pretty significant bend there. I'll kind of keep my mouse there for just a second. We have a pretty big bend there on that bottom right. So it looks like we have enough people in here. So I'm actually kind of curious. This is always kind of an interesting. So we have the big main damage on the top left there with the whitening and that bend, and on the bottom right on the front. So let me open it up for chat. So if you guys want to vote on what you think this Pocket Monsters card list from Card Ass would get as a PSA grade, type in ! grade followed by the number if you want your vote to count. Again, that's going to be ! grade followed by the number on what you think this Pocket Monsters card list Card Ass would get with red and the starters. So again, the major points of issue is that top left corner, as well as the bottom right on the front with this pretty notable bend there on that bottom right. So again, ! grade followed by the number if you want your vote to count. While I'm waiting for votes to come in, I'm going to catch up with chat. That's what I'm saying, Plague. It was looking so good. It was looking good, and then it just fell apart. I'm hoping I can use a humidifier to get the bend out. Yeah, this one, I think, Lakia. I think, hopefully I pronounced, first I hope I pronounced your name correctly. But I think this bend specifically, I think is a really good opportunity to use something like a humidor to flatten that out legitimately. I think that's a good call. If you have the materials to do so, I think that's a really good call. Because that, I think, me personally, I think that's a great candidate. But, all right, so let me wrap up the poll here. And so chat, you guys are thinking, let me just zoom out just a tad. So you guys are thinking a PSA 6. So chat, PSA 6. So now the question, save that real quick. Get rid of that, sure. I'll just have to write it there. So now, what do I think this card list for card ass would get? So well centered on the front. Nothing to really write home about. It's really just the back and the bottom right on the front, which we'll see in a second. So on the back side, from what we can tell, the main issue is going to be this top left-hand corner. You see a little bit of that whitening there. And as we flip it over, we see this pretty notable bend here in that bottom right-hand corner. So normally with bends and creases, you know, we're obviously out of that near mint category. So my guess is, you know, if you kind of left it like that, you know, you're kind of in that light play, mod play section. But since the card looks so good, and I think this is probably the first time I've actually said this during a grade review, is that bend looks to be, you know, you can possibly flatten that out if you use something like a humidor to kind of put in between some like acrylic plates, for example, to kind of press that out. So you might be good there. But if you can't, you know, so if I had assessed this card as is, right, with that bend, you know, you're looking at a 6 to a 5 for sure, right? Because the card, aside from those 2 points, looks really clean. You know, so I would probably honestly argue more of like a 5 than a 6, because I just know how PSA really declines the overall grade when a bend is present on a card. You know, for example, I had one that was pretty notable, that everything was clean with the exception of a very small crease, and it ended up getting a 6. So the fact that that is so noticeable, especially on this front corner and on the front, I would probably say a 5 instead of a 6, like what chat said. But I would also say that if you can flatten that out, I think you're starting to get into like kind of that 7. You have the possibility of getting that 7, but maybe not actually. Probably like more of like a 6 to a 5. If you can or can't press that out, but who knows? You might be able to. But just knowing with like that back, you might actually. I'll take that back. You probably get the 7. If you can flatten that out and get that crease out, you can probably get that, and that's awful. But basically, if you can flatten that out, you're probably looking at around a 7. But if you can't, you're probably looking at a 5, would be my guess, just because of that crease being right on the front and more noticeable. But a very cool card nonetheless, for sure. Yeah, that'd be huge, right, Plague? All right, so lag is done. So next up is Show. So Show with some really cool cards here. And again, if you guys want your cards reviewed for free during one of our weekly grade reviews, all you have to do is click the link in bio. From there, you will go to the link tree. Next, all you have to do is click or tap the Discord icon to then go to the Discord. And then there, you will go into the grade review channel. And then you just submit your cards for free. You can submit as many as you want, but it is first come, first serve, and limited to 5 cards per person per stream. And if you want expedited grading or priority grading, the server does offer a subscription starting at $4.99. That gives you priority along with some other cool perks. Yeah, that's a good point, Law, for sure. The chip on the back was the only thing you saw, just wondering for reference. So the chip was rather large in size, to be honest, based off what I saw. So I'm seeing, you know, so if I were to highlight it, I see like this. So that's kind of what I see. So it's pretty notable. So I'd say if it was just like a pack dot, I would lean more towards a 9. Yeah, that's the only thing, Plague. I know it's kind of tough, but on my screen, it's a little bit thicker than what you probably can see, and it really doesn't help too that it's against kind of like a grayish or a white gray card. But that's kind of the size in which I'm seeing the white piece. but that's kind of my opinion. I know it's hard. Do they have to be expensive cards? No, they don't have to be expensive. They just can't be stuff like bulk. Like, I'm not going to review like commons or uncommons or reverse rares, stuff like that. You know, just kind of use your best judgment, right? Like if it's a V or above, probably I'll review it, you know, because I don't want to like belittle someone's, you know, if someone wants to submit a V that only costs like $2, but it's at least something that's, you know, entertaining, I guess. I don't want to review like, you know, commons and uncommons, stuff like that, or reverse rares. It's just not worth it because no one's going to submit those. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I leave it there. But now we got some cool cards. So next up we have Soji. So we have some e-readers, which are always cool. Oh, really? Plague? That's funny. All right. So let's take a look. So this Gardevoir looks very well centered. Obviously, you know, if this is your first time seeing an e-reader, because I've had some streams where people have never seen them, which I thought is really interesting. So this part obviously is meant to be this thick because it's meant to be scanned, right? This one not particular, but it's meant to be scanned. So as a result, this bottom part is obviously going to be much thicker than the top. So we have to kind of omit that from the centering. So we're really kind of looking at here, here, and on the top. So really when we're kind of looking at it, we're kind of looking at this top as kind of like a curved center. So the only thing I see so far on this Gardevoir is a little bit of a scratch there right above the EX in that silver border. This card and these EXs are notorious for those kind of side scratches because, again, you know, more hollow, the more chances of having a bigger scratch, right? So, but for the most part, we maybe have some scratches here. It's kind of hard to tell. Maybe some in that top right. But aside from that, pretty good. And wow, the back of this card is in super good shape. A little bit of whitening there, but that might be just because of the angle in which the picture is taken, so I'm not going to hold too much against that. I have a lot of those. I never knew they were supposed to be scanned. What do they scan them for? So they're meant to go through like an e-reader. So normally what would happen, I don't think these can't like scan per se, at least I don't think they can, because they're symmetrical and there's nothing unique about them. But basically they get ripped through basically like a card scanner. Like if you were to like swipe a debit card, they had e-readers that you'd put in your Game Boy Advance, and you would rip a card through it, and you would upload a card into the Game Boy Advance like through the e-reader. So you could have like a mini game or like a Pokédex entry or something like that to actually have the card kind of uniquely associated with the game, if that makes sense. But obviously they were so like unpopular because, you know, who's gonna rip a hollow through a card scanner and just scratch it, right? It just was kind of a gimmick. It didn't really take off, so that's why e-readers exist, for that pretty much dying technology. Or it's dead now, for sure. It's dead, but that's why they exist. But aside from the scratches, I think this card is very well centered. The back is from what I can tell, very flawless. Maybe a little bit of whitening on that bottom right corner. What might be a little bit tough, and a little bit of whitening there, but I think that can probably just be wiped off. Maybe a little whitening there. But yeah, very, very clean Gardevoir for sure. Definitely near mint plus from what I can tell. Again, we can only judge based off of the pictures, right? So we do have some scratches there above the EX. It doesn't look like we have enough for a chat vote, so I'll just kind of run this real quick. So we have a little bit of a scratch there above the EX. And the surface looks to be okay. So I'd probably say, you know, probably like a 9 or an 8 would probably be my guess. It's just so well centered on the front and the back. Probably more of an 8 because, again, if I'm thinking that this scratch above the EX and there's some scratches here, but I can't really say for certain. You know, we're looking at between like that 9 and 8. If there's more scratches here, probably the 8. But definitely a very good card. Probably if I had to guess one or the other, depending on if that is a hair or something, I don't know. You might get the 9 just because of how good the back is too. But Ethereon, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. And I didn't even realize we hit 7.2k likes. Thanks, guys. What's your favorite Mon? I would say my basic answer is a Jolteon, but if I was restricted from answering an evolution, I would probably say Victory Bell. All right. Next up, the Celebi EX. Was that for Pop Series 2? So let's take a look. Very well centered. Wow, this card's in really good shape. Normally, when I don't have to talk that much, it normally is a good thing. Edges are good, corners are good. Definitely not. UA Lost Kids, definitely not. No Pokemon fun facts, especially about evolutions. Yeah, there's, from what I can tell from this picture, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. LeBron, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Oh man, it's the back though. So we have a little bit of some whiting there on that top left. A little bit on that top right. A little bit on that right side. A little bit on that bottom left. So I'd say probably like, you know, in this one, you're probably leaning more towards like, you know, 8 or a 7. Because the front is just so good. It's really just those main little points of whitening. I'd probably say an 8 would be my guess. Because the front is just so clean based off of what we can tell. I'd say if it's not, like I'd say if there are some more scratches here, I'd probably say like more easily a 7. Because you have, you know, you have 1... Let me move this over real quick. So I'll kind of highlight some of those whitening bits that I see. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 points of whitening, but since the front is so clean, I'd probably say loosely an 8. But if there's scratches on the hollow, I'd probably say a 7. So just keep that in mind. All right. So next up, we have the Japanese Erica's Invitation, which is a beautiful looking card for sure. Centered well, because again, we have to, with these supporters with the kind of this like inflated little text area here, it does kind of push that border up a little bit. So it's not too bad. Yeah, right, Brady. So the centering looks good. But as for the back, this thing is like way too zoomed in. One sec. So the back, Poke, what's going on, man? Thank you for whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. It's like a firework or something? I'm not too sure. But thank you. Let's see. So I don't think this would get the 10, only because from what I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From what it looks like, little bits of whitening. So maybe you're in like that 9. I don't think it would get the 10 because of the amount of whitening on the back. But it's well centered front and back. So you're probably looking, just based off of it being minimal. But man, yeah, you're probably looking at like a 9 or an 8 would be my guess. But again, really for modern, it's kind of like 10 or bust. So I don't think this would get the 10, and I don't think it'd be worth submitting at that point, would be my honest opinion. So. All right, so next up we have Momo. Man, we just have like all the chases from all the modern sets right now. Got the Lugia V. Let's see. So let's take a look. The front looks well centered. So far, so good. We even have the, looks like we have some PSA slabs in the background. Yeah, I hear you, Socks. Yeah, the front of this is looking really good. Let's see. Do I have another angle? You just straight on? We do. Yeah. I think this is a really good submission contender for sure. I don't see anything noticeable. So like, I don't know if that's whitening or not, but I think it's just like how the angle is. Plague, thanks so much for the hearts, man. The hearts, poke with the fireworks or whatever those are. And the tiny dimes, I appreciate that. You're the first person I've ever gifted something on TikTok. Well, thank you, Plague, I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the rose in the heart. Sadly, I'm not an NPC, so I don't really have have too much. Is that a fisherman in the bottom? Man, the hearts, the GGs. Thank you, Plague. Appreciate you, man. Is that a fisherman at the bottom? It is. That is a fisherman. If this is your first time seeing it, yeah. So the fisherman's on a boat, and the Lugia is kind of flying over. You can kind of see, and that's what's kind of cool about this magnifier tool. Is you can kind of see the parting of the waves here. But I was telling someone I think they should make either a promo or what with Ho-Oh doing the same thing, but instead of the fisherman, have Ash, right? Because the first episode of Pokemon had Ho-Oh flying over Ash, and I think that would be a huge opportunity. I think that'd be sick to have Ash kind of looking up at the Ho-Oh flying over it for the first time. That card would be insane. Oh, geez, Socks, this card is meant for you then. Watch you look. Do you look like that fisherman? Maybe that's just you. We did talk about that at the show. I think that'd be sick. But yeah, I would say definitely submit this. There's no whitening on the corners from what I can tell. It looks very well centered. I would definitely submit this because I think this is just how the angle is taken. I don't think that's actually whitening because you don't really see it on the. At least I don't see it. It's kind of partially cut off, but yeah, I think it's in really good shape. No, this is from Silver Tempest, so it's a relatively new set. Yeah, because that was back in Sword and Shield, so you know it's still modern in today's standards. Because I think I kind of consider modern as like the last 3 generations, right? So you have Sun and Moon, which is actually kind of almost, you know, once the next generation goes, Sun and Moon's going to be back there. Because so it's really Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and Scarlet and Violet. I would say, in my opinion, like the first, like the 3 sets, like the most recent sets that are like first, second, third, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet. So I think those are, I still kind of considered all 3 of those as modern. But obviously Sun and Moon is about to get sunsetted, no pun intended, on being, you know, not so modern anymore. But yeah, Momo, definitely submit that. Ooh, next we have another banger from Surging Spark. We have the Hydreigon. Super good card. So let's take a look. Yeah, I agree, Plague. Like the tag team stuff is crazy. And again, I really appreciate all the love and support tonight, guys. It always means a lot. You know, as a pre-Thanksgiving, I'm very thankful for having the community that I have. All the support, all the love really does mean a lot. It's really what kind of keeps me doing this, you know, each week, editing videos for you guys, doing the streams. It's really, I really do enjoy it, and I couldn't do it without you guys, so I really do appreciate it. All right, so the Hydreigon, let's take a look. Little thicker on the right side, honestly, than the left, but I think we're still within that 60-40. So you should be good there. But the front is good. The back, we do have some, and again, I'll try to zoom in a little bit more when I kind of talk about these. Hopefully I can kind of show it a little bit, but it actually might, now that I just kind of zoom in on myself, it might be just the background. But initially I thought there was some whitening right where the tip of my mouse is, but I don't know if that's the background or the card. So kind of take note of that, I guess. In addition to, and I have to zoom in a little bit over here. In addition to that as well, I think that is part of the actual background. So I would just check that bottom right corner just to make sure, and that bottom left, that that's not whitening. But if it's not, I mean, you have a pretty decent submission. I would just measure. I would say check the bottom right and bottom left corners to make sure that that whitening doesn't exist. Here, well, that was really bad. Right here and here. Additionally, I would measure this right side. It's a little bit thicker than the left, but if it's within that kind of 55-45, in my opinion, that's kind of what I stick to. I would submit this for sure. So just take those 2 points. And yeah. All right. So next up we have Joe, and this one it took me a little bit, because it is actually outside of the sleeve. It took me a very long time to determine if it was inside or not, and I think it was outside because of the shadow. But I think we're chilling. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Plague. Jasmine's Gaze. It's a mukbang. She's eating what appears to be a Subway sandwich mukbang with weirdly enough, it kind of looks like the Iono. Does it not? Hold on. RNG David, thank you for sharing the live. Hold on. Did I just uncover something? Let's see. The joining the Iono mukbang. Where is it? Hold on. Pretty dang close. Pretty dang close. It's like all this food, and then we got the... Hold on. I got too many cards all over the place. Did that one. I mean, I don't see the difference. But let's take a look. What was that one card called with the garden? It was like 3 cards ago. The garden. Let me check. Oh, Erica's this one. It's called Erica's Invitation. It's from 151. So you're talking about this one. This is the SIR Erica's Invitation from 151. That's the one. All right, so let's see. That might just be a hair, but maybe not. Looks well centered. And yeah, I think again, good modern, not a lot of whitening on the corners. I think it's well centered. I think it's a good 10 contender. If it were me, I would submit. Just saying. All right, and next up we have Saito. Got some evolutions here. Got the Nidoking and the Master Ball collectors here, which I think that they're actually I think the rumor, or I don't know if it was announced or not, but what am I trying to say? That the Terra evolution, the one with the evolutions, is reintroducing Master Balls for English, which I think is interesting. So let's take a look. So Nidoking, let me zoom in a little bit here. So well centered. No major issues from what I can tell. So this is really sick. It's almost like the swirl fixation, but that placement of that, has it always been like that? Let me see, because that placement of that hollow looks too perfect at the point of that horn there. I have to look. Hold on. Because that would be sick. Because I honestly have never really collect these. I've never collected a Nidoking before. from Evolution. It is not. Based on the one scan I've seen, it does not look like that's there. So that's sick. That placement is sick. So very cool. Anyway, the front looks great. The back. Let's see. Maybe a little bit of whitening on that top right corner, but I think it's a little bit too blurry. I'm kind of zooming in too hard. Thanks for the hearts, Plague. Apple Juice, what's going on, man? Welcome in, welcome in. Oh, we hit 11K. I didn't even notice we hit 10K. Thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving, man. I appreciate you guys sticking around with me on this Thanksgiving Eve. But yeah, the front of this card looks great. That holo placement is sick. I joined as a member. Let's see. Oh yeah, you did. Thank you. I appreciate that, Plague. Yeah, that I cannot get over that holo placement on the tip of that horn. That looks sick. Yeah, I mean, I think it looks good from what I can tell. Maybe you just wipe off some of this like weird fuzzy stuff on the left side on the back, but I think you're chilling after that. Pretty good. I don't see any scratches from the angles that you showed, so that looks pretty sick. Now is the Master Ball Diglett. I know a lot of people collect the Master Ball set stuff. The front looks good. I mean, I don't see any scratches from the angle, but and corners look good. Centering looks good. And then Japanese for centering, that's actually worth kind of talking about. For Japanese, centering is a little bit tough because you kind of have a little bit of like this kind of blending in here. Yes, Plague. Okay, I'm glad someone verified that. Yeah, I'm super stoked. So you kind of see where it kind of blends in. So right where I kind of made those lines, that's kind of where I tend to judge centering based on modern. So it looks well centered to me. And I don't see any scratches, at least from this angle, on the reverse. So I think we're chilling. I think we're good. So Dylan, how do we submit pictures to you? Yeah, so if you go to my link in my bio, you'll go to my link tree, and then from here you just click or tap that Discord icon, and then you'll be redirected to the grade review channel. Should I start including more angles? I mean, it's just up to you, Cody, right? So the more angles I have, the better I have to give you a more accurate opinion, right? So that's why I tend to stick, that's why I try, at the end of the day, guys, I really want to try to give you guys a really in-depth analysis of your cards. Because I don't want this just to be like, oh, I think it's a 9 next, oh, I think it's an 8 next. I will really want to educate everyone as much as I possibly can on what I'm actually looking for. Yeah, Cody, that Nidoking dude, that's sick. I think you were here. I was like fixated on this holo placement on the tip of that horn. That looks sick. That looks dope. But yeah, the more angles I have, the better. Yeah, I really appreciate that, Plague. I definitely do. All right, so I gonna take a break real quick. I'm just gonna run to the bathroom. I promise I'm gonna wash my hands. Drink some water. I'll be right back. Plague, how dare you think I'm not going to do that? How dare you? That's crazy. That's crazy, Plague. Doubt me like that. Alright. So let me just prep the next part here. Just give me 1 second. For those of you who are seeing me for the first time, hello. It's very cold in my room. Normally I rep the Galaxia shirt, but it's way too cold. Alright, let me just make sure I got this situated. Just give me 1 second. Because I try not to blow your guys' eardrums out. So let's see. Share my screen. Share my screen. There we go. It's so loud. You're not just a voice. I am not just a voice. You hardly... I know, dude. Telepathic. Alright, so let's do this. And we're going to go to... Boom. There we go. Boom. Pokemon Pocket time, baby. I know, I'm not just the voice. I'm an actual person. Yeah, it's should make me a mod. At this point, I feel like I should. What grading did you give mine? I thought both were submission potentials. So I'd say if you're trying to look for the 10, both were good from what I saw. I bought a box of Japanese 151. Is that a good price? I didn't, for 82. I have no idea, to be honest. I normally don't buy sealed, to be honest, because my luck is trash and I don't have enough willpower to not open them. To be honest. You're so close. That's crazy, Socks. That's sick. So guys, one thing I tend to do when I play Pocket recently is I try to not make meta decks. So I'm really a big enjoyer of making like anti-meta. Big anti-meta guy. I buy sealed on deals and use them for trades. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, if you have the option to like trade and stuff, that's pretty sick. All right, so what deck did I create? Oh, the reset deck. So I got a little bit of the Frostmoth, the Pidgeot, and the Aerodactyl. So I've been messing with this today. What else? What other decks do I have? I just like messing around with decks, man. Let's see. This one's been really fun. The Psyduck Gengar EX with double red card, double Sabrina. I really like the fact that the opponent just can't play supporters, and then you just rip a red card and it's GG's. Dude, Plague, I literally deleted my Marowak deck because I had one game, or no, I had 2 games, and back to back to back, I flipped double tails like 3 times in a row, and I was like, nope, I'm done. That's good. That's good enough for me. And then what else? Yeah, we'll just let it rip. Yeah, so I literally deleted it. I deleted the deck. Dude, Jolteon's crazy good. It's really crazy. Dude, I've been absolutely loving Pocket. It's been so much fun. Because I never actually knew how to play the regular game. I'd play battles, but can't be bothered to make a deck. I know. Well, that's why I don't know. I just love playing just non-meta. I love non-meta decks. Let's see. But we don't need two of those. Same. Sucks. I that's what I think, man. I love that the games are just like super quick, super fun. I love it. Man, it'd be sweet if you just passed and... Ah, we got a Hypno Enjoyer. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Okay, so let's rip another research, I guess. Ooh, we got the Aerodactyl for the Dragonite. Let's see, what else? Well, first we just bully this Drowsy. And make sure that they are put the fear of put the fear of Arceus into them with the Aerodactyl in the back. We'll see, Plague. The two Gardevoir and a Mewtwo, I know. Yeah, so the sleep didn't really matter there. So now he's gonna be loading up his Dragonite. I'm gonna try to put my Frostmoth to sleep. And did not succeed. That's why, dude, I've tried running Hypno, man, and Hypno is just trash to me. Like, meaning, like, I know it's good, but my flips are awful. Alright, so basically we just have to prep the Aerodactyl. And yeah, we're just chilling. We're just chilling. He's still gonna obviously have his Pokemon power because you can still use it, but dude, I've seen the same thing, Plague. People are crazy with their coin flips, man. It's insane how good some people are. I know too, like when I see someone with a Gardevoir, when I see someone with a Gardevoir coin, I know I'm gonna get my deck rocked. I just feel it. All right, so right now we're actually doing pretty good. We're getting our backline with more HP, so we don't just get rocked by a Dragonite, which is kind of nice. So I can't retreat. There's really not much I can do, so we're just gonna pass the turn. Now we're just losing to coin flips. At the end of the day, we're just losing to coin flips. Yeah, Meltan's pretty good. So let's see. So we already used one. He already used one X speed. So he probably has. Man, my luck is trash. So we are going to. What's the best pack to open? I guess it depends on what you're trying to get. If you're trying to play, I started with the Mewtwo deck or the Mewtwo set, but I mean Pikachu. It really just depends on if you try to want to play or whatever. Okay, so we have the X speed, Pidgeot. That's what I started with. I started with Mewtwo. So what happens here? So doesn't really do much. I guess you have a higher damage, but then you also have. We'll just put it on the Pidgeot, and then just get Tails again. Man, I got Tails. Was that 3 times in a row? The floor is really nice. So this is what I'm hoping happens. I hope he's going to use X speed to switch out. Would be my guess. So the X speed comes out. So really, we're hoping, really our big win is if Frostmoth either eats all the Dragonite damage so I can switch to the Aerodactyl, would be huge. Okay, that's what happens. So now, this is where we have the coin flip, just like perfection. So Aerodactyl comes out. And it's just as simple as flipping heads. That's all we got to do. All we have to do is just flip heads, and we're chilling. Just like this, chat. Ready? I'll teach you. So you just kind of barely jiggle it and flip it. And we get tails for the 4th time in a row. See? That's all you gotta do. All you gotta do is get tails 4 times in a row. And now we salute. Okay. We get tails 4 times in a row. He's gonna get heads. He's been hitting... Dude, he has been hitting all of his Hypnos, and I have been missing all my Wakes. So here we go. Ready? Five times in a row, chat. So here we go. This is the true... So now, follow me here, right? We're going to use the ultimate weapon. Get the hell out of there. that's what we're doing. Get me the hell out of there. So normally the deck does a little bit better if I can flip at least 1 head. Unfortunately, I flipped 5 tails in a row. It is what it is. So what else? What other deck have I been trying to pilot? I've been really enjoying the Articuno Greninja. I've also been enjoying... I actually kind of want to play this. I kind of built this. I was rocking a Mewtwo EX, but Mewtwo EX without... It's kind of... I tried piloting this with a Mewtwo EX without a Gardevoir, and it was pretty tough. But the thing I like about this one, hopefully I lead with the Psyduck. Because once I lead with the Psyduck, it gets pretty crazy. And of course I do. But we have the Oak. So normally the thing with this deck that I really like is the idea behind it is that you basically just prevent them from using supporters the entire game. And you have 2 red cards. So their hand gets clogged. You rip a red card, you put all the supporters back in, so you're basically forcing them to draw dead supporters. So now he just used... so there are instances sometimes where I kind of actually like to leave my research in my hand for this exact moment. Because if I rip a red card now, he only has one... research left. So we instantly get the +2. So instant red card. Right? So now, what I'd like to have happen is we got to get the Psyduck. And so what I'd like is an X speed. I would really like an X speed off this research. We don't get it. It's all right. So all we do is just do that, and that, and then might as well just get some free damage. Yeah, Moltres might be tough for sure, but I'm hoping what will be nice is the idea is we're going to switch the Ghastly out, put the... Oh, now he's just going to put the Moltres on. Yeah, so now we know... Let's see. I'm hoping he just doesn't... I hope I just didn't give him like a crazy hand off of a red card that was an optimal red card. But we'll see. There it is. Guys, am I just like not allowed to get heads? Okay. So we are extremely off tempo right now. So what do we do here? So we need to get to our Gengar EX like ASAP. If we don't, we just lose. So we're just going to, so he has 2 cards. So there's really not much that we can do other than just switch to the Meowth. Let's see. Because you're just going to switch in. Because if I use Sabrina, you're just going to switch into the Moltres EX, put a 3rd energy, and just knock it out. So we're just going to, just doesn't really matter. Well, there's that X speed I was looking for before. I have 8 cards left. Yep, so there's that Moltres I was talking about. He's going to knock out the Meowth. So right now, though, the good thing is that he doesn't have a Charmeleon, which is good. So right now, we need to slow that down as best as we can. But the fact that we haven't even seen a Haunter yet, we haven't seen like the Gengar yet, like we are kind of in rough shape, to be honest. Like we are not getting anything that we really need. Because if I Sabrina, you're just gonna switch out the Moltres. So I guess we just stack on Haunter and just hope for the best, I guess. We're so chalked. Sure. Get the potion back. Sure. Haunter, I guess. And we are chalked. Man. The dead draws and coin flips are not on my side tonight, chat. All right, I need some vengeance. We need to play a deck that that isn't as awful. Play the Greninja build. So this is the one I'm rocking, not just straight Articuno, but I'm actually enjoying this one a lot. Articuno Greninja. No, honestly, I don't. I just don't like it, sucks. I have the cards for the Moltres EX. I just love building. Anytime I ever play a TCG, I always like building decks that I feel like I kind of made on my own, if that makes sense. I really don't like following meta. I really don't. Because there's opportunities to not follow meta. You just have to find them. And that's what I really like about deck. I love deck building. It's so much fun to me. Oh, here we go, chat. The Misty is in hand. The Misty is in hand. Let's see. All right, here we go. All we have to do. We gotta gently. There it is. There's the tails for the 6th in a row. Maybe I need to start wicking that thing. Right. All right. That's when I slam my phone on the ground, right? Costa. That meme was so funny. So no head. Slam the Nokia phone. And it's weird because like I'll like gently toss mine and it seems to work. But now I feel like I'm on stream. I gotta yeet that thing. Come on, pass turn. There's nothing else you can do. All right, so dude, I feel like I need to. All right, so what do we do here? So we need to... So we use that. So he probably has an X speed. But we want to try to burn... We need to catch up. We need to burn... we need to burn some time. So we're going to use a Sabrina. I really don't want the Lilligant to get online quite yet. So we're just going to try to burn a Sabrina, force him to use an X speed, or burn an energy to get the Lilligant out again. But in that case, once the Lilligant does come out, I'll have 80 damage instead of the 40. And so there's the X speed. So now, I'm not too sure, because he's going to have to play catch up really quick here. Because I just need 2 blizzards for the... I don't really need to Misty there. Because if I get another Articuno, I can just use it on the Misty for late game. So instead, let's see. So that puts me at 90. Because he would have to use, what, Erica is 50 to 70 to 80. So the Giovanni knocks him out of Erica potion range. So we'll use that. Use that. So now they're both at 10. And then it knocks the Erica offline a little bit. So there's a potion. I really need the other frog, like bad. So now, let's see. Trying to think here. So the Lilligant. So if I do that, because I could knock the Lilligant out with a Froakie. The Ivysaur comes in. So he has to have the Venusaur. So basically I have to play as though he doesn't have it. So we're actually going to Misty here. Of course we get the tails. Nothing new there. So we're actually going to do this. We're going to boop. Going to retreat. Get the KO there. Yeah, the getting tails is starting to get very annoying. So we had the Venusaur. We had to play as though he didn't have it, but it's unreal. The luck right now for these last 3 matches are insane. Like, it's just ridiculous. We're just gonna concede. There's no way we're coming back from that. It just is what it is. I don't know. It's crazy. Because, like, I'm even gonna show you guys, right? I'm gonna show you, like, what my because my battles, we've been out there. We've been up there. Almost hit the 200 win mark. And it's just like, brother. It is crazy. It is crazy. Like, what do I even play with? Like, I don't want to play the Dragonite. Let's see. Someone tell me a deck to play. Title? Alright, let's play Title. Play some Frostmoth Dragonite. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling this one. It's just crazy. Hey, I flipped heads. Look at me. Okay, here we go. The rose for the good luck. Against the Mankey. Hey, at least we have the Pokeball and the research. Let's see. There we go. And then the Misty is for the Snom. So we just do this at the end. Is that we Misty the Snom. We'll see if we get the Frost. I doubt it though. Because you take the 1 damage. We're going to use that on you. And we gotta be aggressive, apparently. Oh, top right corner, huh? Top right corner, huh, Socks? 8 times in a row. Will we get to 10? At this point, I want to get to 10. 10 tails in a row. So now he either has the Primeape or he doesn't. And he does. All right. I love it. This game is doing very well for me tonight. Oh my gosh. The luck tonight is insane. All right. Here we go. This is crazy. All right. This is what we're going to do. I have a feeling I need this deck to work. This deck needs to work. It's been doing so good when I was before stream, and now it was just like my luck right now is just awful. I don't know what it is. We need to flip something other than a dang tail. I can tell you that right now. So we're getting back into it. Oh, nice. I flipped heads. All right, here we go. Yeah, right. No, I promise. I promise. I promise I won't. We're loading up. So we have two Professor Oaks in there. The Psyduck will let us hopefully... Oh, nice. I'm about to get locked out. That's sick. He's about to do something. He's got Misty, I know that. All right, so let's see. So what happens here? So Psyduck is just gonna get pushed in on. Because the Eevee has, what, 20? So right now I need energy delay. So we're gonna use Sabrina. And just poke. Poke with the Psyduck. That's what I'm trying, man. There's that Wigglytuff. Man, my opponent's hands have been absolutely nuts. All right, so there's the Haunter. So we'll see how far it goes. Really don't know what you're waiting for. There we go. Burn that. Put that on there. That's what I heard too, Socks. I heard that's supposed to be like Gen 2, which, I mean, it makes sense, right? Makes sense to me. So I'm hoping, yeah, so you use that on there. So really what's going to happen is if I need to send the Meowth out. Because I am not getting a Gengar. If I get the Gengar, I can just use X speed. But I'm not getting the Gengar. There's the Gengar. So now what happens? So I have Gengar. I have to put the threat on, right? Even though the Wiggly Tease already has the, or no, because he has he's put all of his stuff on Lapras. Did the package get sent out today? No, it didn't, man. I'm sorry. I had some stuff happen at work today that I just, dude, this whole week with, I literally haven't even unpacked my car yet from the show this weekend. I've just been so busy. But I hope to do it on Friday. I'll actually have time to do stuff on Friday. And we see. I guess, even though his Wigglytuff's online. It doesn't really matter. And Wigglytuff's gonna come back. What's my favorite generation? I would say for nostalgia, probably be like Gen 2. I mean, I grew up with Gen 1, but Gen 2 was just such like a game breaker for me as a kid. And then But I'd say for game mechanic wise, I really loved Diamond and Pearl. Or Platinum, right? Diamond and Pearl and Platinum. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Yeah, that's right. Because I owned Platinum. I never played Diamond and Pearl directly. But I liked it because they did the physical special split. Honestly, I loved that. Because it made no sense to me, like, why they did it any other way. Because like, I hated that. Like, I hated, like, oh, like, ghost types are physical. Why? Like, Gengar is a special attacker. Like, why is its type bad? Or like Absol, like Gen 3, like, why is Dark special? It's a physical attacker. Like, none of that ever made sense to me. Nice! 9 tails in a row, guys. That's sick, actually. I think that's enough. I think that's enough Pokemon Pocket for me tonight. The fact that I haven't flipped ahead the entire time I've been streaming is actually insane. So that's it. Maybe I'll show off my collection. I should have. That was insane. Sometimes you know when you're supposed to get off, and that was it. That was definitely it. Because that was insane. I'm literally lost for words. I think that was at least 9 or 10 tails in a row. Truthfully. That's not me coping. I was literally like... I'm stunned. Let's see. Anything good? I'm always at this point just looking for full arts. Like full art trainers. 15 game, dude, I know, man. It's just awful. But let's see. Guess I can show off, like... See, because I have... Listen, I have the Mewtwo. I have them. I just do not want to play him. I think it's just boring. It's boring to play him. Like, I just don't. I do not want to. But yeah, I think someone was saying the full art Ditto is really cool. Play non-coin flip heavy decks. I do. I do not play. That's why I don't play coin flip decks, because my coin flip luck, like, the only one that I play is Misty, but I play Misty in decks that, like, yeah, it sucks when I don't flip it, but it's not like the end of the world. But yeah, I got the second Articuno from a Wonder Pick. I pulled the first one, and then the second one I pulled from a Wonder Pick, which was insane. But yeah, I just don't want to play. I legit just don't want to play this deck. It's just boring to me. I don't know. I just like making fun, innovative decks, but you gotta flip the damn coin to wake them up, I guess. That's sick, Tom. What other one I like? I legit like the Pidgeot too. Like, just taking the Magikarp, like, out of the drink. But what else? The pincers are cool. Duking it out. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I got that freebie pass. The Golbat is sick, actually. Just big derpin', big chillin'. Lapras is nice, yep. It's a nice one with the Pikachu surfing in the background. I don't know if you guys have seen that. The Dragonite, I personally love the Dragonite. With the boats and stuff. Looks really cool. But yeah. Alright, guys. Well, I think 9 to 10 tails in a row I think tells me that I probably should get off. But yeah, well, it was a good stream as always. Definitely a little salty about the tails, but it is what it is. Yeah, so again, guys, I really do appreciate all the love and support. As a Thanksgiving, being thankful. Definitely appreciate you guys always coming through, hanging out with me. Still interested in grade reviews and watching me lose miserably in Pokemon Pocket. And just talk about just Pokemon in general. Wouldn't be doing it without you guys, so I really do appreciate all the love and support. Yeah, so have a happy Thanksgiving if you guys celebrate it. Definitely enjoy it while you can. Yeah, there's nothing more to say. Hopefully if you flip coins, you do better than me. Drive safe if you're driving, fly safe if you're flying, swim safe if you're swimming. I don't know what you're doing, but appreciate it, guys. And I will probably see you guys on Monday. I still have a lot to clean, a lot to process. And like I said, Plague, hopefully I should have my car unpacked by Friday so I can actually get to the mystery box that you won, so I can actually send it to you because it's buried in my car since the show. So thanks guys again, and I'll catch you